Video games are full of puzzles. One of the most time-honored ones is finding the key to the door. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, let's dive into the 8 hardest keys to find in video games. Starting off with number 8, the rabbit puzzle key from Link's Awakening. Like, alright, maybe this isn't the hardest thing ever, but the key itself is just so easy to miss. The key is found in the Bottle Grotto, the second dungeon of Link's Awakening. It's pretty early in the game, and most of the puzzles in this place are pretty easy, but this one is just baffling. How it works is you go into this room and there's some random enemies around. You kill them, but nothing really happens. Usually in rooms like this, when you defeat all the enemies, that will reward you the key, but this time you have to kill them in a certain order just to be extra confusing. Which is, by the way, not the most common occurrence. Usually if it's a room clearing thing, you just clear the room. That's true for Zelda as a franchise, as well as any other franchise that employs this obstacle. There's actually an owl statue that's in a completely different section of the dungeon, of course, that gives you a clue. First, defeat the imprisoned Pole's voice. Last, the skeletal Stalfos. Remember, this clue is found in a completely different section of the dungeon, so it could easily apply to some other room or the room that the clue is in, and you're like, alright. Also, as a kid, when I was playing this, I did not know what a Pole's voice was. Also, it took a long time to use a search engine to verify this. Internet was not fast at this point in my life, and I'm pretty sure the original clue in the Game Boy version was even more vague. Anyway, once you know the puzzle, it's pretty easy. Just kill the enemies in order. The rabbit, Pole's voice, the bat, Keese, and the Stalfos, skeleton, and you get the nightmare key, which opens the boss door to the dungeon. At number 7, Resident Evil's secret lab keys. Like, okay, so these games are all filled with tiles and emblems and just various random stuff that serves as keys for stuff. The locks function interestingly, let's just say that. This all started with the original Resident Evil, and one of the trickiest puzzles in that game was finding the wolf and eagle medals, which you put into slots in the water fountain, which would unlock the secret lab underneath the mansion. Which all just sounds insane when you say it. The funny thing about these medals, though, is that it's possible to get them and not even realize it. They're actually hidden in 2 different books, which you have to examine and rotate to actually open up and find the key in them. This became a sort of Resident Evil staple, like an item that's hidden in another item puzzle, but in the original Resident Evil, you didn't have a frame of reference. There was never anything like that in the game or any other game, and they didn't have a tutorial about it. They didn't tell you this is something you're going to have to do. So as people were coming up on the end of the game, it confused a lot of players who were trained to think by, every game that had items before, that nothing would happen if you examined an item. The remake, made this a lot more obvious, but the original Resident Evil got a lot of players stuck in this exact spot.
Dude, this house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
At number 6 is the broken pendant from Dark Souls. The way Dark Souls sells DLC has a very unique distinction to it. It is really ridiculously hard to find that DLC once you've bought it in the actual game. Seriously, if you want to access the new areas and the Artorias of the Abyss expansion, you really have to work for it. Most games, when you get add-ons or DLC, they have a little message telling you that a new quest has appeared. You'll get a new item in your inventory that tells you wherever to find the content you got, but not Dark Souls, no. So to access Los Ulasil, the new area, you have to kill the Hydra in the Dark Group Basin. There's this weird empty cave behind it that looks inaccessible, but there's a small strip of land you can walk across to get past the lake. Inside the cave, you might find the Golden Crystal Golem. If it's not there, you'll have to reload and try again. You'll have to kill it, and then a character called Dusk will appear. She asks for your help, and you say yes, or she just disappears. Now you have to get the broken pendant from the random crystal golem in Duke's archive. The broken pendant won't just drop from this guy unless you've talked to Dusk, and with all that done, you just return to Dusk and you'll unlock the portal to the new area. So worth the money. Seriously, like, most people have to look up a walkthrough to access the DLC to this game. It's just nuts. At number 5 is the ice key from Banjo-Kazooie. And this one's kind of weird because while it's not hard to find, it is hard to get. You can see this key in Waz the Walrus's cave. The problem is it's behind this wall of ice. The only way you can get access is to cheat. Seriously, you have to put in a code. That's the only way to remove the ice wall. The code is cheat now you can see a nice ice key which you can have for free. To input it, you have to go into the Sandcastle and Treasure Trove Cove and tediously butt slam each letter to input the password. So what do you do with the key? Nothing. It doesn't do anything in the game. It only works in Banjo-Tooie. Here's where the whole thing gets more confusing. The key works differently depending on if you've been playing on Nintendo 64 or Xbox Live Arcade versions of the game, but basically what you have to do from here is find a secret room in Hailfire Peaks with a giant ice safe. You open it up and you get the Mega Globo, which can be used to transform Kazooie into Dragon Kazooie. The ice key kind of felt like a big deal when Banjo-Kazooie first came out. It was really mysterious, but the actual use for it ended up being kind of underwhelming. At number 4 is Water Temple keys from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. People have complained about the Water Temple for ages now, and it's with very good reason. It's huge, you're trying to deal with raising and lowering water levels, and it's disorienting, and beyond that, it's just a pain anyways. But a big reason why it's such a pain is because it's so big and non-linear. It's very easy to get in a position where you're short a key, which forces you to backtrack through sections of dungeon looking for the key you've missed, forcing you to change the water level, making it harder to get back where you originally started, and remember where you were at all. Remember I mentioned it's disorienting? Literally just describing that is disorienting. I'm back at the Water Temple right now, mentally, from just saying that. There's no one key that's the specific problem in this respect either. It's the design of the dungeon in general, but for whatever reason, we always seem to be short a key whenever we go through this place. Worst thing about it, if you are able to collect all the keys in the expected order, the dungeon is actually pretty straightforward, but good luck with that. It's not gonna happen. Instead, you're gonna be backtracking all over this place, trying to find that one key you missed somewhere. I cannot think of any other dungeons in the entire Legend of Zelda series that gave us as much trouble as this one in finding the keys, and not mentioning that I feel like would be a crime in this list. At number 3 is the rat key in Neverwinter Nights, Hordes of the Underdark. This is just, it's bizarre. There's no other way to describe this. I don't know how many people have actually played the Hordes of the Underdark expansion for Neverwinter Nights, but this whole thing is so weird, it has to be mentioned. Like, it deserves it, but if we didn't, it's strange. Just stick with me here. In the first area of the Undermountain, there's a large room with some enemies and a rat wandering around. It's a dungeon, and of course there's gonna be rats, right? But here's the thing, it's a special rat. Follow it around and have a really high search skill, and a secret door will appear, but only if the rat is in the right spot. There's a ton of treasure in there, so it's pretty nice to find pretty early in the expansion, but why does the rat unlock the secret door, you're probably asking? Well, if you're playing as a class that can talk to animals like a druid, the rat tells you it has some secret treasure. Still, the rat has to be close to a certain wall so you can find the secret door. The rat is basically the key or something, I guess. Apparently there was a cut quest related to this rat that might have had something to do with unlocking this treasure room, but they just cut it and turned this whole thing into a weird secret. At number 2 is the summoning key in Black Ops 3 Zombies, specifically on the map Revelations. The Easter eggs in Call of Duty Zombies are, infamously hard. They're obtuse, difficult to pull off, and often require a coordinated team of 4 veteran zombie mode players to successfully pull off. Calling these things Easter eggs is kind of a misnomer. These bizarre secrets hidden in zombie maps often hide new weapons, new areas, unique enemies, and encounters that have completely unique bosses. They're basically like the point of the map now, like the reason they exist outside of the standard survive till you die part. Now, obtaining the summoning key in the grand finale of the zombie mode maps called Revelations, which, isn't really the finale anymore. They made a bunch more maps for Black Ops 4, blah, blah, blah. But this map, which is the culmination of the weird zombie mode story, I guess, for lack of a better word, that had been running throughout World at War in Black Ops 1, 2, and 3, feels kind of like a finale. It's built from chunks of previous zombie maps, and it's a crazy floating world with all kinds of monsters running around, and you have to fight the sort of big bad zombies, the Shadow Man, and there's a lot going on there. And of course, getting the summoning key that is required to defeat the Shadow Man is a hell of an ordeal. You have to collect altar pieces, get eaten by this giant creature, shoot some gravestones that are out of bounds, use a teleporter, get some weird egg. I mean, it just keeps going and going, but it's all pretty standard for these types of Easter eggs. Just this one has about 17 detailed steps minimum. It is an absolute ordeal. Pretty much every zombies map, though, has something nearly impossible to get, but this one really just takes it to the next level, giving us one of the hardest to find keys in just about any video game, really. And finally, at number 1 is the Book of the Dead from Spelunky. This accessory only really serves one purpose. It unlocks the secret door to the 5th area of Spelunky. Hell. This is how you defeat the true final boss and get the best ending. And with a game like Spelunky, which is already one of the hardest games out there, getting to the super hard final secret area, it's gotta be pretty tough. Otherwise, obviously, it kind of miss expectations. And yeah, it is. It's really tough. To get to the Book of the Dead, you first need to get into the City of Gold, another secret area, which requires you to find 4 ancient Egyptian artifacts, one in each area, and unlock that. Getting the artifacts, huge ordeal on its own. One you have to buy in the secret black market, and one you have to find this Maui statue and die with the Ankh equipped to get it, and that's just 2 of them. Once you're inside the City of Gold, though, actually getting the Book of the Dead isn't really that hard. You just bomb your way to the center room and grab it, but to actually access Hell, you have to bait the normal final boss, Olmec, into dying in the lava in the exact right spot where the doorway to Hell is, and use the top of its head to go through the door. Because of course, unlike every other door in the game, this one doesn't have a ledge you can stand on to enter it. So getting this key is hard enough, and good luck using it. And this is just to get to the final zone of the game, which is also impossibly hard. But anyway, have you gotten these keys, or are these keys that you failed at getting, or does it just sound really tough? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is of course a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.